everybody. My name is Catherine Lovell. I'm the president and CEO of the Philadelphia Visitor Center Corporation. I'm so happy to welcome everybody here today to the Independence Visitor Center, the Liberty View Ballroom. We're thrilled to host today's press conference. We could not be more excited about the news that we all heard yesterday about the matches that will take place here in Philadelphia in 2026. It is right around the corner, and the excitement is building, and we are a part of that team, and just so thrilled. So thrilled especially about the match on July 4th, as if July 4th could get any bigger in the city of Philadelphia in 2026. Yesterday it did. So without further ado, I want to welcome Meg Kane, who is the host city executive for the World Cup 2026 here in Philadelphia.
Thank you, Catherine. We wanted to just take a few moments to talk a little bit about our schedule. We obviously are delighted. Everyone at Philadelphia Soccer 2026 is delighted with the news yesterday that we will host 6 matches in Philadelphia. And as we are reviewing the schedule more in depth, I think we are getting even more excited about what this can mean for the city, and really for the energy that will happen between the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. A few things and a few thank yous just to start. Obviously, thank you, Catherine, for hosting us today. We very much appreciate it. I want to say thank you to a couple of our key partners in the room. Obviously, the City of Philadelphia. We can't do this work without the City of Philadelphia, so we're very, very grateful. And Giselle Jones, fresh off of her new appointment as a city representative and chief ambassador is here on behalf of the city. 1 hour in, and we're like, you got a speaking gig, let's roll. I also want to say a huge thank you to the Philadelphia Eagles. Don Smolenski and Frank Yemeni are here. The venue, Lincoln Financial Field, it's so interesting. Every time we do one of these, people are like, so where are they going to play these matches? I'm like, they're playing them at the Link. And I've said it before, and I'll say it for the next 2.5 years. The key to all of this has been Lincoln Financial Field, the incredible partnership, the organization, the venue, the professionalism, and of course a great pitch and great stadium operations. FIFA couldn't feel more at home and more comfortable with the Link, and so we feel so grateful to have you as part of this. So thank you. And of course, the entire tourism and hospitality industry in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau, Greg Caron's here today. He'll say a couple words about what we're expecting from a tourism perspective. Visit Philadelphia. Our very important key partner, now we got that July 4th date, Welcome America, is represented here. And Nicole, thanks for being here. The Philadelphia Visitor Center. There is just a community here that is so committed to making sure that Philadelphia shines with this opportunity. This is our moment on the global stage. So just to recap yesterday, I'm sure you've seen all of the graphics. As it was pointed out to me, it would be great if the graphics and the font were slightly bigger, which we'll provide that feedback to FIFA. But just so that we all have them, Philadelphia will host 6 matches. Our first match will be on Sunday, June 14th. Our second match is Friday, June 19th. The third match is Monday, June 22nd. The fourth is Thursday, June 25th. There is the 5th match on Saturday, June 27th, and all 5 of those matches are in the group play stage. We will then have a week break, and then our final match in Philadelphia will be Saturday, July 4th, concurrent with the 250th anniversary of the nation. I have been asked how we feel about receiving the schedule, and I think one word is relieved. I think we are happy to have dates and to begin to be able to plan in earnest. And really much of that is going to be focused on our logistical planning. Safety, security, transportation, mobility, all of those will be critical and key. And we can really now start scenario planning in a variety of ways, and thinking about all that July 4th and all of what these matches will bring. I think the other piece, of course, that we're incredibly excited about is the fact that this is really going to activate Philadelphia for a 3-week period with soccer happening here, and then with our overlay of the FanFest that will happen from opening match to closing match, right? So there's so much activity that's going to occur here, And when we think about the match days, well, we focus on the dates of the matches. The one thing that's really important is that Philadelphia is going to feel these matches well in advance. We're going to feel it potentially if this becomes a team base camp. If Subaru Park is selected by a national team, we would be able to start seeing, a national team and their infrastructure start to come to Philadelphia in late May. To begin that planning. But more importantly, this now gives us the ebb and flow of what the tournament will feel like. The match day -1, match day, and match day +1. Each of these events is like hosting the Super Bowl, the 3-day event. And so we are going to feel that 6 times in a 3-week period. That's an extraordinary opportunity. And credit to our colleague, Bruce Revman from New York, who reminds us as host cities all the time that this is the unprecedented opportunity to run a 40-day infomercial about how great our cities are. And we're going to take advantage of that. Of course, there's going to be a significant amount of logistical components to this. And as I've said in a number of interviews earlier today, we do this well. The city is well prepared. Giselle will speak to that momentarily. This is not our first rodeo at a major event. We recognize, though, that this is different. This is the largest sporting event in the world, and the timeline for this is so much more extended than anything that we've done before. But I think that we feel really strongly that we have the teams in place. There is continuity between the mayoral administrations that gives us tremendous confidence in the fact that we have a great team in the Parker administration, and there are terrific civil servants who continue to serve and have great knowledge of how to do this and how we've done it in the past. And marrying that together is going to be, I think, an important component of delivering a spectacular World Cup. We are committed to partnering with everyone that we need to and focusing not just on how Center City will feel, and that's one of the questions that we get, how will Center City feel? This is so much bigger than Center City. This is about neighborhoods. This is about our immigrant communities being activated in a way that they maybe have never had. If you've ever been to a Unity Cup match that the city hosts for in the summer, and Catherine, you know this as the former Commissioner of Parks and Recreation, there is such a passion for this game. And with our expectation of more than 500,000 people coming to Philadelphia just for World Cup, we believe that we're going to see that activation throughout the neighborhoods. So there's a lot of work to be done. The work begins in earnest today. And I'm going to invite Giselle Jones as our new city representative to say a few words.
Good morning and thank you, and I bring warm greetings on behalf of the mayor. And as we said earlier, we're not new to this. We go big or we go home. So we have been planning for World Cup since 2016. We submitted the bid, and honestly, I have to tell you, Meg Kane has been laser focused on making sure that we are here where we are today. So I just want to assure you, kudos to Meg. I just want to assure you, the operational end of the city, we stand ready. We have the capability, the capacity, and the infrastructure. And as she said, security, transportation, all of those things are major things that we have been working on, and we didn't just start planning today or last week. We have religiously been doing this for a few years. So we are very confident and happy and excited and comfortable with where we're going. There's tons of amazing things leading up to 2026. This is the icing on the cake. We have not done anything this big, and we are excited about all the events collectively. And everyone that is in this room are partners to us, and this is why it's so easy for us to just step in line and collaborate, because we've been doing it for a very long time, and we will continue to do that. So thank you all for being such great partners, and the city is ready.
Of course, this is going to be an enormous moment for tourism and hospitality, which I preluded earlier. And I want to invite Greg Karen, President and CEO of PHLCBB, to join. It was his organization that led the bid initially and submitted through PHL Sports.
Thanks, Meg. Good morning.
Good morning.
See, I learned that from our elected officials at City Hall. Get things going in a two-way fashion. This is a huge moment for us, for our hospitality community. It is. It's been a long time in coming. People don't always realize what it takes to put something like this together, and my colleagues have alluded to this. But the marker for us at the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau is, Don will remember, and others in the room will remember, when we hosted the NFL Draft back in 2017. And the day, as we're literally saying goodbye to the NFL Draft, as they're packing up on the Parkway and at the Art Museum and everywhere else in the city, an RFP hits our desk at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Bria and Maria and Larry and our team at the CVB start working in earnest in 2017 for an event that, if all goes right, we will host in 2026. So when we held our watch party in Love Park last summer with the city and our colleagues throughout the city, we all held our breath, and that was really the big announcement, when we got the announcement that we'd actually be hosting any matches. But to get to the point now where we're hosting 5 matches, plus 1 round of 16 match, on the 4th of July during our semi-sesquicentennial. And I just like to prove that I can say that word. And to give you an idea of the order of magnitude for our hospitality community, not just in the city, but as Meg says, regionally. Each one of these matches will consume about 26,000 room nights. Each one of those 6 matches, 26,000 room nights. To put that in perspective, the city proper has 14,400 rooms in the city and county of Philadelphia. So you think about what that immediate impact is going to have on our collar counties and our partners in South Jersey and out to the western suburbs. The impact is huge. It's estimated that half the people that come to Philadelphia won't even have a ticket to Lincoln Financial Field. They will be here to just enjoy the pageantry of it, support their countries, to be at the FanFest and watching on big screens and in pubs and in bars. And I've never been to a World Cup match, but I've been in countries while it's going on. And the singing through the streets and the carrying of flags and singing national anthems is just something that, as Meg says, that the international nature of our city and all the teams and countries that participate in our Liberty Cup, it's just going to be awesome for all of us. So our job is really to make sure that everybody gets here and has a wonderful time, and that 2026 doesn't just prove to be a spike and a peak for our hospitality industry, but a new plateau that we can launch. We're inviting the world to Philadelphia. We want them all to come back and spend their money for many years to come afterwards. So we're excited to partner with the city, with PS Soccer 26, Visitor Center, and all of our other colleagues. Thank you for getting us to this point. The hard work begins now.
We'll be happy to take any questions that you have. Obviously, I'll hand off to City or to Greg and around tourism if needed, so happy to answer anything that you might. Okay.
I have a question about logistics and safety to start off. As you all mentioned, there are going to be multiple events happening at once, especially on the 4th of July, you mentioned Off America. And all of these on their own are massive undertakings in terms of logistics, safety, police. Can anyone speak to how that's going to be handled? Are more officers going to be hired before that? Are you going to bring in outside resources? Can you speak to the plan there? Sure.
So actually, this is something that we're really good at: logistics, operations, and planning, safety, and security. Typically, when we have this many large events, we plan simultaneously. And again, the continuity of all the departments that are typically involved with the external partners, we collaborate and come up with the best design plan to fit them all. We actually enter into mutual aid agreements with other jurisdictions and counties for support from police, security, Homeland. So this is how we are able to coordinate and manage all of it. So yes, we will have agreements with other local law enforcement agencies to do this.
I'll also just add, all the host cities have been working at the federal level as well. So we've been meeting with the Department of Homeland Security. There's looking at this holistically as a national event as well. Our understanding is that SEER ratings will now be assigned by the Department of Homeland Security now the match schedule is out, and then different matches will be evaluated for national security special event status as well. That will likely come later, and certainly will be informed by probably also geopolitical forces and how that will impact the match schedules.
What was your reaction to the final being announced at MetLife, and how that would impact the Philadelphia games and kind of tourism around that time period as well?
Yeah, so first I want to say, and you'll laugh because a Philadelphian saying something nice about Dallas is probably a unique thing, but I've had the opportunity to get to know Monica Paul, who runs the Dallas Sports Commission, and then of course Bruce Redmond and Lauren LaRusso in New Jersey, and I want to commend both cities. They put together really terrific bids to host the final, and that is hard work, and I do not, having watched what they've been through the last several weeks, I'm glad the decision is made for them, and that they can move forward. But we're delighted, absolutely delighted for New York, New Jersey to have received the final. I mean, we view ourselves as a potential auxiliary site to support New York, New Jersey in hosting the final. I think that we really see this as an opportunity to keep Philadelphia as an active part of the tournament, even past our own matches, because I think the overflow is going to be so significant. If you look at the host city map, there are no host cities between us and Atlanta, and then there's no host cities between us and Kansas City. So when you think of the United States and how many people might be looking to come somewhere, but maybe don't necessarily want to go to New York, New Jersey, but want to feel close, we become an ideal destination, and I think that benefits the Commonwealth in whole, and certainly Philadelphia. So we're very excited for it. We are working closely with New York, New Jersey, as well as Boston. We affectionately refer to ourselves as the corridor. We know Amtrak is going to be a critical component to all of our planning, and I think one of the things that we're looking forward to doing is taking the match schedule and really understanding not just the ebb and flow in our own cities, but between the three cities, because I think that's going to show how fans are going to travel and experience a lot of the World Cup and see that movement in and out of cities.
On the more local
Sure.
transportation, we're not a city like DC or Boston that everybody loves public transportation, the metro, the city. People don't love SEPTA like that. People think it's dangerous. A lot of people in the burbs do not like to use SEPTA.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers are having this issue with what they're talking about. Is there going to be a push to get people to either to get SEPTA ready for this, but also to encourage people to give it a try?
Absolutely, both. We're working closely with Leslie Richards and her team at SEPTA. They've been wonderful partners, and really, I think it has to be said, SEPTA is a crucial component of how we won this bid. If you look at other host cities, they don't necessarily have that level of infrastructure, especially getting fans to and from the stadium. So that is a really important part of our bid and why we won. So we want to lean into SEPTA, and certainly we see this as an opportunity and an accelerator to support SEPTA and to help, right? To help that team and to help more people want to use SEPTA. And we are going to encourage use. The regional rails are going to be critical to bring people in. So as I mentioned, Amtrak will be important. So 30th Street Station is going to be a massive hub. And that interface there is crucial. There's going to be buses, and we're going to have to look at shuttle plans and things of that nature. So SEPTA is going to have to be a key seat at our table, and they have been. For us, we want to meet with them and say, how can we be helpful to you, right? How can we use this opportunity, not just for World Cup, but MLB All-Star Game coming and the 250th? How do we use these moments as a way to improve what we have here in Philadelphia for our residents long term? And so that's certainly something that we're thinking about, something that we are in active conversation around and very committed to. So we want to be that partner that can help to accelerate this forward. And we are absolutely going to encourage SEPTA use. I think it's really important, if you've ever been to a World Cup, the pedestrian experience it's very much a part of the culture. It is not a car culture. The World Cup. It is very much a pedestrian experience, right? That's why they refer to, the walk up to the stadium, the last mile, right? And what that feels like. But then also with FanFests and other activities. And as we think about how our city is laid out, and when you think about even a July 4th, and to Giselle's question, right, we're here on Independence Mall. This is going to be a hub for 2026 in the historic district. The Benjamin Franklin Parkway, which has traditionally been the home of the 4th of July concert, is available. And then we have the sports complex and Lincoln Financial Field. So I think we're going to be able to leverage, we're compact in a way that's going to allow people to do multiple things in a single day to be part of all these events, but public transportation and SEPTA is going to be crucial to that. Jonathan?
So between now and then, what does everybody do to get soccer events here that might not currently be on the calendar? The U.S. men and women, neither of them have played at the Link in 5 years now. There was the Premier League Summer Series last year, but that's not going to happen this year because of the Olympics. So what happens in that regard?
Sure. Well, I don't want to overspeak for Frank. I don't know if you'd like to pop up to address the question from the Eagles.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, we are working on some things for the summer. So I mean, just because the English Premier League itself is not coming, that doesn't mean there won't be teams coming. So there is some discussions happening right now to bring some large international soccer events to Philadelphia, and hopefully in the near future we'll be announcing that. We're always looking to bring the biggest events in the world to Lincoln Financial Field. We're going to continue to do that, and we think we are well underway for 24, potentially 25.
Have there been any conversations with U.S. soccer specifically, because those games are now going to get even more competitive during the town?
We have been in discussions with U.S. Soccer, but they're just one of the cogs. I mean, in the discussion, U.S. Soccer, but also in large international matches. We do have timing. I mean, there's a bunch of different factors that play into it, but we're looking honestly to bring the largest events and the largest soccer matches in the world to Philadelphia, not just U.S. Soccer.
I'd also just, really quickly, just to add, PHL Sports plays an enormous part of that. So I know that there's other conversations that might take place with PHL Sports, and they work closely with the Eagles to make that happen. So, yeah.
Clearly, we're a long way out.
Not that long.
Well, for somebody who's thinking about
Yeah, I got you.
Tickets,
Yes.
and not saying like specific tickets, but is there kind of like a percentage of like the people here in Philadelphia that will be able to go see this and be able to go to these games? I don't know if that's something that's already been thought out, or how, because typically it's a very corporate environment, but I don't know if you have a percentage, you think?
So FIFA actually handles the ticketing component of this. So we have to follow FIFA's lead. It comes from, they kind of handle that master allocation. Certainly, all of the host cities want to ensure that those who live here have an opportunity to go. We also know that there is, when we look at other past World Cups, Americans tend to travel the most for World Cups. They do a lot of travel. So we actually do expect to see a fair amount of cross-city movement. So while there are people here that we absolutely, for our residents, we want to make sure that there's that opportunity to purchase tickets and to be part of this. That's ongoing conversations with FIFA. That likely is probably a year out, but anyone who's interested in signing up for updates or related to tickets can go to fifa.org/tickets and sign up, and then that is how they will get notified of different things that are happening from a ticketing standpoint. Yes.
Can you quickly reiterate just the economic impact? I know you mentioned the number of people you expect to come, generally speaking, and even dollar signs wise, but just kind of streamline it and kind of give us the economic impact.
Absolutely. So first, let me caveat this by saying our economic impact was run in February of 2020. And as I refer to it as before times, right? Like pre-pandemic. And, we wanted to have a pretty conservative view of it. So we only looked at hosting 4 to 5 matches. So in that, and from that economic study, we anticipated about $500 million in economic impact, and that includes $262 million in direct spending. And when you break that down, you're seeing about upwards of $90 million for food and beverage, lodging, right? So there's a very significant number that comes in. So that direct spending is a great number, and that actually exempts the stadium operations and that's looked at as its own separate cost. We are going to rerun economic impact now that we have the official match schedule, right? Because we can't do this in the vacuum, right? Given everything that's happening in 2026, we need to be able to look at this in terms of the broader picture. So we will run it as World Cup to look at that in particular, but then it will be placed sort of into the contextual of Philadelphia and 26. Our hope is to have that done by May and to be able to release that probably in the early summer. But I think we know that from even the preliminary, $500 million in economic impact is significant. We looked at probably from a job creation standpoint about 3,500 new jobs. I think that could certainly be a larger number, especially given what the impact of this will be on labor. We are going to have to build down at Lincoln Financial Field, the hospitality villages, there's international broadcast compounds, right? So there's naturally the outfits of that perimeter and all the things that go into what the footprint will be. But then there's also FanFest, right? So you have two areas where there's going to be builds in addition to Welcome America, in addition to Major League Baseball All-Star. So there's some real opportunity for job creation that we see coming forward, and certainly for tourism and hospitality being an area of great focus.
So it's safe to say millions of people coming into the city?
I would expect millions of people coming in. I think for us, we know the 500,000 number is a pretty solid number per host city. Again, though, this is a very different tournament, right? FIFA gives you that number, and it's based off of it's based off the original 64 matches, and based off of a very small amount of of 32 teams, not 48. So I think probably in the millions. I think the passing through, I think the movement around this tournament is going to be what differentiates it, and I think the fact that we are part of this corridor, and when people are looking to plan. Right, it's like, will they go to the West Coast? Will they go to the East Coast? Right, I think there's going to be a very natural pull for people to want to come to the East Coast and be able to experience Boston, New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia all at once.
I have a related
Sure.
question relating to finances. How much money will need to be spent in order to build these hospitality villages and get FanFest ready? And how does that financial obligation break down? How much money does the city need to spend versus other organizations?
Absolutely. So right now, I mean, all of us we're working currently on our full budget forecast, right? Because things continue to change from a FIFA perspective, right? There's things that are, being amended that allow for more revenue generation as opposed to being a cost center. So we're working through some of those changes and things, and specifically around FanFest. We right now probably expect that this is an endeavor that's probably in the $130 to $150 million range for the city of Philadelphia, in terms of not a cost to the city, but in total cost of what it means to put this on. Philadelphia Soccer 2026 has been actively engaged in fundraising and working with the business community since 2020. So we are working to make this really looking at how we can leverage our own business community to make sure that we are not leaving the city or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania with costs that cannot be incurred. Of course, we know that there are going to be costs that come with any major event for the city, and Giselle, you may want to speak to this momentarily, but the city will work with the city on what we need from a resourcing standpoint. Giselle talked about mutual aid agreements. There's going to be a lot of cross-jurisdictional pieces. South Jersey and New York, New Jersey, we've been having some of those conversations. So the budget is coming into frame. I think that gives that's a good range with a pretty significant amount of contingency in there. And I think we're all committed to doing this as effectively and efficiently as possible from a cost perspective, but recognizing a wide variety of things that we know and things that we may not know. And one of the things that we always talk about, and have talked about at the federal level, is that when the 2002 Olympics were being planned, the original security budget was minuscule, and and then 9/11 happened. And so that transformed what the security costs are. All of that still has impact on today. And what is determined to be potentially a national security special event or not, or what's designated to have federal resources given to it from a safety security standpoint, all of that is still to be determined, and some of that will come after the 24 election. So there's a lot that still has to happen. We're having active conversations, obviously, with the city every day, and also with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And Governor Shapiro's office and team have been incredibly supportive of this endeavor, because it really isn't just about Philadelphia. The state of Pennsylvania is hosting the World Cup. Philadelphia is the host city, but really it's the state. And so we are going to work and do absolutely everything we can to keep the public cost as minimal as possible, but it is going to be shared between public and private.
That sums it up.
Okay, great. I take good notes from Giselle. Yes.
We have time for about one more question.
Okay.
Do you have any FanFest locations in mind yet? And is there some thought towards networking that out to some of the other neighborhoods around Philadelphia, maybe the neighboring counties?
Sure. We are right now, so there's been some changes to FanFest requirements, right? So what was initially the FanFest requirement of FIFA is being amended because their initial FanFest, if you know anything about it, it's usually a 15 to 20,000, 25,000 person watch party that happens every day of the tournament is activated. And so initially that was kind of what every city was trying to do. Most American cities don't have an abundance of places to host this type of an event. Whereas if you looked at Qatar, I mean, they basically just popped it up in a very open center of their city. So we are exploring a wide variety of options. I think for us, we are looking and having very productive conversations with the city about a couple of locations. The Benjamin Franklin Parkway is not one of those locations. We have remained committed to that. It is important that be used for events like Welcome America, potentially what MLB All-Star Game needs. We want to make sure that we're being good partners. Also, the length and the duration of it, we wanted to be sensitive to that. So we're in productive conversations with the city around a venue. We're hopeful to be able to share that later in the spring. I would say with the mayoral transition, we wanted to give Mayor Parker and her administration time to review, provide feedback, ask questions, and so we want to make sure that we're giving them that runway. In terms of the counties and looking out at the Commonwealth, I think that's some of the work that we're going to be doing with FIFA over the next few months, and specifically when we have the opportunity to meet with them in March. We want to talk to them a little bit about that licensing and what we can do. For us, it benefits us. For me, I would like to see as many watch parties as possible in every county. I'd like to see them in Pittsburgh. I'd like to see them in Erie. I'd like to see them in Harrisburg. We have to understand what we're able to do and what we are going to be able to lend. Our hope is that we're going to be able to pop up those watch parties across the state. We want every county to feel the benefit, not just the 5 counties that we typically think about in Philadelphia, but we have gone out and spoken and been in Lancaster and York and Berks County and Lehigh, and we want to keep going. I mean, we've been out to Pittsburgh a couple of times. There is real excitement and enthusiasm for this event coming here. And so we want to maximize that, but we recognize that there are people that will want to watch every match, and it might not be feasible for them to come to Philadelphia. So we want to make it as accessible as possible too. So we're looking at a wide variety of FanFest options. I would say spring is where I think we would be in a place to talk more about FanFest location as well as some of the other potential watch parties and how that's going to work. Okay, great. Are we good?
Any last questions?
Yeah. Jonathan?
Potentially right now in place for the FanFest.
Oh.
Because that's federal land, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say this is not being considered for FanFest because of the National Park Service restriction on being able to build any structures on the grass. Did I get that right, Catherine? Nailed that. Also, I would imagine that this space might be spoken for on July 4th. Sure. So I, want to be respectful of that. But certainly, I would expect though, and for a media in the room, and as the way my mind thinks, I would imagine though, offsite presentation facilities and things of that nature might be seen here or in other places around the city with our iconic backdrop. I think Philadelphia is going to be a potential hub for a lot of international press. Great. Thank you very much.